Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks out there. Welcome to the channel. Yes, welcome to RPG with DBJ, the only 5 day a week tabletop RPG long form content simulcast on three of your favorite platforms, hosted by yours truly. Yes, to this week we take and basically every week we take a subject. We take that subject and we spread it out all week long, so we can get into the nitty gritty. We can deep dive into it, and because of the popularity and well, let's be frank, the craziness of it. This week we're going to talk about the Tiger King. Yeah, the Tiger King. Maybe you're sick of hearing about it. Maybe you don't know what the hell I'm about to talk about. But we are going to do it in the context of tabletop role playing games and how we can use the subject of said thing for our benefit. Now, the subcategory to the Tiger King, of course, in the thumbnail, and the thumbnail's heading on, and the subject is stranger than fiction. So let us get on the same page. What is the Tiger King? Well, the Tiger King is a multi-part documentary that has aired, at least um, in our zone here in the States, multi-part documentary about a very hidden subsection of society, specifically targeting or circling around the gravity of an individual known as Joe Exotic. Now, the documentary takes part in interviewing and analyzing and finding information about people who have a very strange and bizarre and dangerous and expensive and exotic and wondrous hobby, and that is finding and breeding and taking care of wild, large, big cats. Yes, we're talking tigers, lions. We are even talking bears. Oh my. Yeah, breeding them together into ligers, white tigers, snow leopards, black panthers, the whole 9 yards. And this wild, spread out collection, at least here in the States, and I'm sure elsewhere around the world, where there's something intrinsically hypnotic and powerful and sexy, and dare I say, um, even endorphin releasing and orgasmic about being around these extremely dangerous and powerful predators that are treated like your average house cat. And the personalities of the individuals involved in these endeavors, these extremely expensive endeavors that both that engender them for no one to have a neutral attitude towards them. They are either they are not just loved, but they are followed like princes and princesses of exotic nobility, or they're hated by the community. They are extremely difficult to handle when it comes to legalities and where they live. The economy is strained and pulled and prodded in their location. They take up handling these big cats and breeding them and finding them is like an underworld unto itself, and everything about it. So I'm not going to be giving away spoilers very much for the upcoming, the already available Tiger King documentary. And if you want to get online, especially in YouTube and such, to find people who are doing reviews of the documentary and podcasts speaking to the people that were in the documentary, there's plenty of that out there. What we're going to seek to do is here on Monster Monday, Discord Tuesday when we talk about mechanics, World Building Wednesday, and Third Pillar of Exploration Thursday, we are going to figure out, well, how can we add this into our world. Now, why I added stranger than fiction is because sometimes even us brilliant role players, sometimes we get to the point where we're like, that doesn't make sense. I refer to it as destructive creativity, or basically During our creative process, we go about sometimes hacking away at the stone or the chunk of ice that will become our creation by saying, well, you know what, this thing would make sense. This isn't real. This breaks the verisimilitude of the world I'm trying to create, the encounter I'm trying to use, the NPC's personality traits, and things because, well, no one would believe such a thing. And I'm here to tell you that some of the best stories are created by real people in real life doing real life things, and you scratch your head going, no one's that stupid or that crazy or that bold or believes these crazy, strange, bizarre things. And the thing is, like, yep. Thank you, dead man. Yeah, Siegfried and Roy would fall into the same group. No, they are in that same group, absolutely falling into that same group. With there seems to be something around the acquisition of these big cats that makes the people. I don't know if it's a belief that they are better than. I don't know if it's the idea that there is that they are able to achieve some kind of transcendental power. And I don't mean that they really think that they're gods, but like maybe it's the equivalent of the individuals that do like extreme exploration or physical um, domination of their environment. And I am going to, whether these people believe this or not, I'm going to take that point because we're going to use that for our games. Okay, so today on Monster Monday, of course we could talk about monsters, but we're going to talk about NPCs as well. And the idea behind this, the motivation I feel behind this, and what we can use for our games are what dangerous things do you have in your game that humanity would absolutely positively like wrap around themselves, ooh, excuse me, and embrace as like what fearful, dangerous, predatory creature. It could be something in fantasy gaming. I'm looking at you, owlbears, axe beaks, and griffins. You know, I'm looking at you, manticores, and hellhounds, and I don't know, zephyrs and pegasi. You know, I'm looking at you, modern day tigers. You know, of course, the big cats, the wildest of wolves and jackals. I'm looking at you, giant snakes and alligators and Komodo dragons and such. Yeah, I'm looking at you, predatory birds, and even in the far future, some kind of alien. We've seen this done plenty of times in Star Wars, where there is uh, some kind of animal or dangerous creature locked away somewhere, held as a pet or something. Even in the Lord of the Rings movie, of course not the books, but in the movie, what was it? The goblins had a cave troll under chain that was attacking the lone adventurers, the fellowship going into the caves of Mordor. Rickard says, somewhere out there, there is some stupid person who thinks that they can tame a Tarrasque. Yes, and you know what? The first person to do it isn't stupid. The second person is, right? It's like the first person to taste something that's poison and kills them is, I mean, sure, you might think they're foolish, but it's the second and third and fourth person that goes, yeah, you know what? I know the Hakeem and Joe and Elias and Rachel died eating that thing, but let me. I don't think that's really dangerous. Let me taste it. Yeah, right. And the personality it would take for you to have before you started collecting these powerful ass creatures, um, I think lends a person to a certain personality type to begin with, right? Like these predatory animals probably could sense fear. Like you have to get over your fear first, just like jumping off of a mountain or something, right? Or deep sea diving without equipment, you know, to the lowest depths of the ocean or something. The fear has to leave you, and fear is a natural part of our survival, right? Get rid of fear, and even a lack of fear about this one particular thing, and you're mind and body does some strange things. Ricker goes on to say, says, nah, the first person is still stupid in this case. trying to tame a Tarrasque, yep. And the rest of them think they can survive when the first one didn't, just makes them more stupid. Okay, stupid and more stupid. You're stupidest. Hell yeah. Tesla says, Danger says, who was the idiot who tasted moldy cheese to see if it tasted good? Look, I am with you. How many dangerous, poisonous foods do we have in our lifetime where you're going, why would that become a delicacy? Like, what? Yeah. Look at the vast amounts of cheeses. Hey, go here in the States, go to Wisconsin to the Mars cheese shop, and you can taste just damn near any cheese you want. Fugu. Yeah. Oh my goodness. What's the poisonous fish? I know you guys know it. Is it a puffer fish or tiger fish or something? If you don't, if a person, it's the puffer fish. Thank you very much, Ricker. Yeah, yeah, the puffer fish. If you don't get a chef who can slice it correctly, you'll die if you eat. What? Who does this kind of stuff? And guess what? People do. It wouldn't be a thing to not do if people didn't do it in the first place, for us to know that people did it. And that's where we're going to have some fun. So the first step is, what kinds, well, first I will say that humanity as a whole, for our own survival, we have fears of many things. And some people would claim that dragons in fantasy are the culmination of a number of our fears put together. Okay, so we fear fire, we fear godlike beings, things that can sense and smell and see us and see into our souls. We fear things that are far larger than us. We fear reptiles of many forms, whether they be alligators and snakes. We fear predatory cats, which some people feel that some dragons have been depicted as scaled cats. We fear predators in general because we don't want to be prey. And in an attempt to overcome our fears, sometimes we like to personify them, and then in real life, we try to domesticate them. Listen, there are, as the first 5 minutes of the documentary says, oh, these aren't the monkey people, the cat people, they're the crazy ones, right? I had a cousin one time that she loved snakes in all its forms. I had a best friend of mine that loved spiders, and he loved spiders in all their forms. There are people who show their dominance and their power and their personality through the things that are around them. Some people say you're measured by the friends you keep. Well, if the friends you keep are the most dangerous predatory cats in the world, then the people that hang around you may feel some kind of tingling in the gonads, right? They feel, it is an aphrodisiac to go, oh man, that person is, that person jumps off of mountains. That person eats dangerous foods. That person, as joking before we start, that person's in Fight Club, right? And yeah, that person hangs around and dominates powerful creatures. My gonads are feeling a little jibbly. Yeah, wow, getting a little moist, right? Richard says, how many times have there been an NPC that collects rare pets where the pet escapes and causes havoc? Oh, I don't. How often? What kind of trope is that? Common, right? Why not? Why can't we use it? And as regards to the documentary, not only is there are these NPCs that correct rare pets that happen to escape and cause havoc. They're buying, selling them, trading them. They are breeding them, and despite the fact that, say, such an event is, you would think, common sense wise, and you guys know that I am a proponent of adding in the X factor, which is emotion. Common sense would say, Like, well, the first person to get a Tarrasque egg and try to crack it, or I don't know if they're, I'm assuming they're laid by eggs or something, right? But the first person to get one of these predatory things and let it, I hear you, Rickard. Yeah, the common sense is neither common and doesn't make sense, right? So the first time one of these dangerous things gets out, you would think like that's the end of it, no more, right? Listen, we're just gonna shut this thing down. But people are entranced by this kind of thing. So even if the law wants to come in and go, all right, people, we're stop it here now. No, thank you. Everyone go home. Nothing to see here. Go away. What do people do? They hang around. They want to watch. They want to see somebody outside and see the car wreck of a life that people have. As a matter of fact, it's actual entertainment for people to gather around watching other people who are involved with the individual who's doing the dangerous thing in the first place, right? How many people go to see race car driving to see an accident happen? How many people gather around a house fire or an auto accident on the side of a road and gawk and become rubberneckers or cause gawker delays, right? Where they're driving down a road slowly to see if they see a dead body. Maybe it's somebody they know. Maybe there's something strange going on and they're pulling the person out of a burning car. Ooh, wouldn't that be fun to talk about? Right? We do that. And no matter what the law says, and no matter what the common sense says, and no matter what they would say in the privacy of their own homes, I wouldn't dare approach such a thing. That's so beneath me. Oh, that's so primal. Oh, are we animals? I'm above that kind of thing. Yeah, they get close by, and they get the little tingly of the fingers right up there with the gonads, right? Yeah, and sometimes this might even involve you ladies and you guys out there and everybody in between. Even if it's not this particular subject, there's something out there that tickles the fancy, and maybe you don't even know why. Maybe there's something you've never been exposed to, but when it's in front of you, you're just entranced by it and drawn in. And these NPCs are the case. So, first, let's come up with a handful of like dangerous, semi pseudo domesticatable monsters or creatures out there. Oh, yep. Rickard goes, wizard keeping elementals to power ongoing spells. Hell yes. Can we say Eberron's a powder keg? Right? I mean, when one of those elementals that they've harnessed for the lightning rails or the airships, using the fire elemental to lift up an air bladder to make it float. Like, when one of these elementals gets out of hand, do the people go, we're done? Or do they go, that's your fault? And I'm not the crazy one, you're the crazy one. Yeah, a wizard keeping elementals, a wizard, the classic wizard summoning demons. I'm gonna open up a portal and harness elementals, and then of course there's going to be the people around the wizard that does such a thing, right? Hey, can I get an elemental of my own? I sure would love a water elemental to I don't know, moisten some of my moisture in some of my um, crops or something, or hey, I'm rich enough to get an elemental, and I sure would like to have a swimming pool, my own private lake and a swimming pool filled in with elementals that I can swim in. It's private. Or hey, I always wanted a shark, but I live in a desert or landlocked region. Maybe if I put the shark in a water elemental, it can just sit there like a pillar next to my throne room, so I can have the shark inside, right? Or something equally as stupid. Hagrid is definitely your friendly version of these stupid people. Not familiar with Hagrid? Is that a real person, or is that mythology? In mythology, there have been what is it? Oh, from Harry Potter. Harry Potter. Ooh, why did I remember that? Hagrid from Harry Potter. Um, yep. How to Train Your Dragon is a yes is a three-part animated series all wrapped around dangerous predators that are, you know, around humanity, so to the point where they're just local pets. And do we care that one of them sneezes and catches us on fire, or turns our skin blue, or you know traps us in a block of ice? We just laugh it off. It's funny how human beings get comfortable with the dangers that we put ourselves in, and I like that. Jay says Pokemon too, not really as dangerous as they should be. I'm okay. Yeah, I'm with you. Pokemon is a perfect example of that, especially if you wanted to make them a little bit more dangerous. A little bit, like, once freed, they do some. At least they cause havoc if they're not specifically predatory, and maybe the people who capture the Pokemon in the first place. Although I'm using that terminology, it doesn't have to be for for your world, but yeah. Um, Rickard's like, quote, I found this cute baby elder one all alone in the woods. Can I keep it? It's oh, you little Cthulhu. Oh, can I tickle you? Oh, hey, get your tentacles off. He's just upset. That's all. He needs to be fed. Anybody got some souls hanging around? Human flesh? Anybody? Anywhere? Anybody? You know, um, yeah. Try. Yeah, Dead Man says try reading the Pokemon comics sometimes. Ooh, yeah. And can you imagine the world built around? I know this isn't World Building Wednesday, but there's a world, an economy, a whole culture built around these people doing this thing, right? How do you transport them? How do you capture them? Maybe there's an entire society of people whose only job who really could care less about you putting yourself on a pedestal, but they sure do make a lot of money going out in the wild and getting the untamed or baby version of these things to put them into cages or to carry them around like Pokemon. Maybe there are nobles and rich merchants, or maybe there are criminals as well that carry around fingers festooned with rings or medallions, or a rod with a gemstone on top, or any number of things where they can summon up these creatures if they want them. Or maybe they have a zoo, protected land filled with them, and they use the rings or the rod to summon one, or summon a number of them whenever they want to, just because. Even in the Tesla's like, quote, he's got his father's eyes. Now give them back. Yeah, he's got his father's eyes. Poke. Oops. No, it's okay. I mean, how many people have been injured by these dangerous animals and just shrugged it off like, nah, that's my fault. It's okay. As a matter of fact, one of the most stable individuals in that documentary series had her arm mauled and ended up having it amputated. And guess what? She's the same one who was like, nah, I got back to work after like 5 to 7 days, just because I didn't want anybody to think badly about the cats. And what did you put? Everyone's like, well, did the cat get put down? No, no, no. Siegfried and Roy is another example of that event, right? And when I say the economy, okay, first we're talking about lots of money. They make, all of them, and not just Exotic Joe, but there's a gentleman that considers himself to be like a yogi, a shaman, a person of almost wizard like, right? Follow me, and I will read your, I don't know, your astral alignment or something like that. And of course, surrounding themselves with like a harem of young ladies and people. And then there's the one woman that's like, you guys are evil because you're breeding these cats for just money. I'm here to save them, and you're going like scratching your head like, I don't know you guys in real life, but according to what I'm seeing here in the documentary, you're just like the people you hate. You're just slick about it. You just make it look good. And What a great thing. Tesla puts in Harry Potter, Hagrid believes all animals are domesticated. Is true, though it's averted. This is played for laughs as Hagrid attempts to take care of several species of magical wild animals. He usually names them something ridiculous, like Fluffy the three-headed dog, and incurs many, many injuries for his trouble. Yep. It actually makes him bad at his teaching job, since he forgets normal children can't shrug off injury like he can. In the third book, Draco ignores even the precautions Hagrid tells him to take when meeting the hippogriff and gets injured for his trouble. Yep. And if you wanted to include monstrous, dangerous creatures in a civilized realm, region of your world, this is a perfect example, perfect way to do it. You know what? I've always wanted to add hippogriffs into my world, but my players really aren't. They're like homebodies. They don't want to go out into the wild. Well, maybe someone opens up some kind of strange, elevated aerial zoo that's on the top of a tower, like a wizard. But the wizard charges, 1 silver, 8 copper to view, 1 silver to feed them, and 10 gold to actually pet them and maybe even ride them for, a certain amount of time or something. Come on, kids, come on in. I'm just a lowly wizard. What level are you? Well, I'm 20th level. What do you think? What does it say on the door? I told you I'm 20th level. Well, he must be 20th level. He's got animals, right? A Game of Thrones and a TV series has each of the Stark children given a direwolf pup because it's the symbol of their house. Most of them turn out all right, but Shaggy Dog, 4-year-old Rickon's direwolf, winds up semi-feral, not unlike his owner, who grows increasingly wild from lack of parental supervision. And how? Yes, in Game of Thrones, even I know, I get it. It went out with. It didn't go out the way we wanted it to. Let's just say that. But when it began, they even said that you can't train a direwolf. We need to kill him. These things might kill us. And even in the show, although I'm sure within the context of the within the Song of Ice and Fire world, those were still feral animals, right? Like, no one put a chain around their neck for the purpose of keeping them as a pet. No one, when they left, they were just like, you go off on your own, and if you hang around, cool. If you don't, whatever. But like, people kept back away from them. Now, sure, did we see one sleeping at the foot of the bed? Yes. Did we see them hanging around the keep? Yes. But we also, and yes, I'm aware about the creation process and how expensive they were to create, but the context was that these things were wild. They knew they were feral, and even the father said, we might have to put these damn things down because they're so wild. And the concept in most gaming, much like having a ranger in the group who has an animal companion, a druid who's able to speak with animals and control them, and a wizard that has a familiar and has spells that can charm them. Maybe people can be lulled by a false sense of security, like, oh well, this character has an intrinsic relationship with these dangerous things. That means I have the same potential, right? There's something about us that feels like if they can do it, I can do it too. Or there's a power in people that if they can do it, maybe it's not really as dangerous as we think they are, despite everyone saying that. Yeah. Yeah. Rickard's hot take. Are all rangers too exotic? Yeah. I mean, most player characters are, if you think about player characters in general, most of them are on the edges of society anyway. Very few people become, let's say, let's take a profession today, right? Very few people become soldiers, special forces soldiers, right? Very few people become elite soldiers in the military. And the people that do tend to have a particular personality that sets them apart from everyone else. So if we start taking some specialists in our own world, magicians and entertainers and politicians and people that engage in strongman competitions, Olympic athletes, the people who hold multiple PhDs. Most of these people, it's not uncommon for a number of them to have these strange personality quirks. They fall into a certain personality grouping that sets them apart, where sure, you can have a normal conversation with them, but after a certain point it turns and twists, and you kind of want to back your way out the door, and you just start nodding your head and agreeing with them for fear that their personality may pounce on you. Like, some of it might rub off on you, and you're like, don't, please stop. So yeah, a Joe Exotic. I forget the name of the other people. I mean, hell, they didn't even focus on the drug dealer in the documentary who just happened to be a drug dealer and an animal lover, right? What a great um, personality trait to give one of your criminal bad guys, who is an absolute unrepentant criminal who also loves animal conservation. Why not? Why not, do the yin yang of the thing, right? The NPCs that are completely dark, that have that little white spot in them, that little piece of goodness, no matter how bizarre it is, or the person of goodness who seems to be pure in so many ways, and it's like, I'm noble and just, and I protect my people, but I also let the children play around in the direwolf pens, and the PCs are like, you need to get those kids out of there. And they're like, oh, it's safe. The dire wolves, they're my dire wolves. They're fine. And the dire wolves are sniffing the kids' mouths, like, what did you have this morning? I smell mother's milk on your mouth. I sure do like licking that. Rick says, Ranger, what are you looking at? That's Steve, my pet grizzly. No, I don't need to have him in the cage. No, he isn't feral. A few moments later, Steve, don't chew their face off. We need them alive. Yep. I mean, could you narratively explain that, like, maybe the Ranger, it's not the same feral grizzly. It's just a random feral grizzly that just happens to follow the Ranger, and he keeps calling it Steve. So it's like they go into, like, a, I don't know, more temperate woodland area. It's a big brown bear or something, and the Ranger's like, "Hey, Steve, what's going on?" And the feral brown bear comes over, and he gives him the rubbies and stuff. And then as the Ranger goes up towards the north, like, Steve wanders away, and all of a sudden there's like this big white bear, a polar bear, and he's like, "Hey, Steve, what's going on? I haven't seen you in a while." Which would be rather odd. Or maybe the Ranger calls all his pets Steve, and doesn't understand why everybody else can't see the difference between them. No, that's Steve, and over there, Steve. Oh, look at little baby Steve right here. And I'm like, why did you name them all Steve? It's like, they all have the same name. No, they don't. No, that's Steve and that's Steve. They're two different. Why don't you guys understand? Right? But again, strange, bizarre, kind of quirky, almost, I'll dare say, unrealistic behavior traits is actually perfect. Yeah, Tesla Ranger's like, it's all in the inflection. No, his name's not Steve, it's Steve. You mean Steve? No, Steve is sick, but Steve? Yeah, Steve's the cool one. Steve's right there, sleeping at the foot of your bed. By the way, did you get any sleep? Really? You didn't get any sleep? I'm surprised, because Steve's a really good polar bear to lay next to while Steve recuperates, and Steve comes along with us. But even with the economy of such a thing when it comes to cash and money. Yeah, Rickard. Let's see if I can pronounce this. Stevie, Um, Stevie, Stevie. Man, I love umlauts. Got to put umlaut over one of those letters, right? Little squiggly. But anyway, I don't know how you pronounce it anyhow. But you, Steve, Steve. So, with an economy, um, of course, buying and selling these things for whatever reason. I want to buy one to protect my home. I want to buy one as a mount or whatever. You also have the economy of status and power, right? How many nobles want to be, or drug dealers, right? They want to be on their throne, and seated beside them is some kind of dangerous animal. We've seen that trope is so common that people have stopped using the trope because it became so tropey. But I'm here to bring it back, right? Yeah, yeah. You want to buy a what to protect your home? It's it's just an owl bear. I mean, the guy's got a zoo full of them. I just want an owl bear to protect my home because the world is dangerous and you don't know who's gonna break in. And the neighbors are like, get a dog. Dog's not gonna cut it. I mean, an owl bear can sniff out a thief anywhere. I mean, in a world with magic and arcane science, I need an owl bear. I need two of them, as a matter of fact. Right, honey? Yes, dear. Right. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, how many people would trap their laboratory with active traps while they're working in it? Yeah. How many? Hey, enough to go. What? You did what? You had wild animals running around your place while you're just in your laboratory? And they're like, yeah, why wouldn't I have wild roaming beasts that can maul your face off, right? I want a Vorpal rabbit to protect my home. Vorpal rabbit. I rolled a I rolled a 19. Off with your head. Okay, I guess the rabbit chewed through your throat. uh don't make me. As the warrior goes to grab the rabbit out of the bag. Don't make me throw this at you. A rabbit? I guess. But again, oh man, I suppose you could do like, I, could you collect were creatures, put them in cages? PCs are like, why do you have humans in cages? And they're like, don't touch, they're dangerous. You better watch out, you know? Yep. Rickard says every bandit base seems to be trapped every 5 meters, despite the fact that the thieves themselves are home. So why not have random pets? Yep. Yeah. I mean, think about it, right? That's a classic. That's the classic banditry placed in the woods, in the caves, with random things hanging around. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why don't we reassess our dangerous monsters running around the dungeon as it's just their pets? That's what they do. They want adventurers to come in. Got to feed them somehow. You know, maybe people love to visit the dungeon because that's the cool thing to do. Maybe they're like, I don't want people to kill everything in the dungeon. That's our happy place. I paid 8 copper to get in here to see the Vorpal rabbit. Yeah, Dead Man says, see Monty Python and the Holy Grail for a Vorpal rabbit. Yes, there is. There is a intellectual property that will show you what a Vorpal rabbit can do. Oh no! Oh, I miss myself some Monty Python. I gotta take a look at that again. Yeah, the Holy Grail. Clap, 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 clap. Yeah. Now Rickard says another trope. Let's capture the study the thing, or take it to the extreme. Jurassic Park. Yeah. I'll say the entire Alien franchise. Uh, Hell, there's probably every known mistake of the thing getting loose was let's study the thing to bring the thing back. Yeah, there it is. Yep, the killer rabbit of Canbanog. Oh, oh man, yep. Mm-mm-mm. So silly. But funny though, right? I mean, sure, maybe a vorpal rabbit is maybe not the thing you particularly want, but a how cute would it be to have a community with these like giant cages and overly protected by armed soldiers, big burly people, and they're these small little animals just tucked away, small little animals, and the PCs are like, why the giant cage for little small field mouse? And then they just explode into like the worst things in the world. You know, why do you have a locked chest in a cage? Don't go near it. It'll bite your hand off. A chest. You mean a chest with gold in it? That's gonna bite my hand off. Get away from it! the mimic jumps out at someone. Will not risk another frontal assault. That rabbit's dynamite. Yep. Yeah. Oh man, you could have so much fun by incorporating a ton of those things. Um, um, as a matter of fact, even as a matter of fact, you could the player characters might be involved in such a thing. Um, the classic trope of the wizard needs the thing to do a thing for the experiment with the thing. So maybe the PCs need to collect, go up into the mountain and get the egg from the giant eagle kind of thing, right? Or, of course, the PCs are brought in because said wizard or alchemist or whatever let said thing get away. Yeah, Rickard's like, what could go wrong? Oh, that picture. It's the I love that science fiction picture where it's just a desolate planet with the xenomorphs implanted with a device while somebody else remote operates the xenomorphs to use them as military creatures. I mean, heck, the Jurassic Park slash World Series. We're going to breed dinosaurs and use them as monsters. We've even seen that with what today we're going to use uh, dolphins and make them hunt mines and things like that. There's something about us. As a matter of fact, even in the military today, we use dogs, trained dogs to sniff out explosive used in law enforcement and the military. There are people have trained predatory birds, falcons, hawks, eagles, ospreys. The list goes on and on of predatory birds. Owls, even. You know, uh, Bunnicula or Bunnicula, yeah, is a children's book series written by Deborah and James Howe, featuring a vampire rabbit named Bunnicula who sucks the juice out of vegetables. Alternate, Alternatively, Bunnicula is the main title of the first book in the series, published by um, Athenaeum Books in 1979. Wow. Yeah, Bunnicula. As a matter of fact, if you wanted to go not exotic, but go more towards mythological and such, Dracula, vampires have a intrinsic relationship with the air quotes darker animals of the world, the nocturnal animals, rats, bats, wolves. Sometimes we've even gone so far as to say like maybe snakes and other owls, maybe other nocturnal animals, and so there's a danger in that. And um, the fact that they are domesticated, and using that word domestication very lightly, the fact that they're domesticated allows us to use them in a dynamic fashion, right? You find the bandits, and they also have on chains dire wolves and wargs. You go into the holy city of paladins and holy clerics, and they have with them, I don't know, predatory white eagles, and they're riding upon pegasi and griffins and such. And no one thinks twice about, the golden furred slash feathered griffin that sits on the rooftop chewing on, a random carcass of an ox or a mule or something that is snatched up on the countryside because that's just the cost of of the knights, right? You know, feeding those damn dragons costs people's not only their livestock but lives, but people just accept it, and maybe this might be a thing that's accepted within this particular region. The artist is Marek Okan. I gotta find some of that artwork. That's just a beautiful piece of artwork that just looks like. Please don't. Now, mind you, based around the idea that using the xenomorphs as a tool by the corporations or military or whatever in the world of the Alien franchise has been a thing to analyze it and use it and manipulate it as if as if, right? So we as human beings are entranced by a thing, and the number of people who would flock around such an individual is also quite important as well. Going back to the documentary series, there's a host of colorful, if not traumatic individuals that have surrounded these people who own these big cat zoos or sanctuaries or whatever, because many of them, first of all, the places that they're held in are, you could make the claim that they're put together by chicken wire, both in reality and through how they are pieced together. How they feed these animals in and of itself is pretty pretty horrendous, if not expensive. The people that come there, who volunteer, who pay for the opportunity to pet these creatures, to be around them. I mean, how many of these little small baby, and fill in the blank of something dangerous, with someone want to sneak out, a small child sneaks it out, a noble pays to have one brought to their home, a criminal wants to raise them, use them as hunters, the military wants to have them and use them for their forces or something. I mean, it's so crazy. And the personality of the individuals that do such a thing, right? I mean, we're also lazy. Humanity tends to be lazy. Far easier for me to hire somebody else to take care of my big cats if I got the money than it is for me to learn how to take care of them. So if I hire somebody whose personality is a little bit quirky, so what? Yeah, he's a little bit full of himself, and sure, he walks around armed and yelling and screaming about things, and has all kinds of conspiracy theories in his head, or thinks of himself as some kind of oracle surrounded with a harem, or is a consummate salesperson wrapping themselves in a cloak of doing good for the community. Okay, I mean, how easy would it be for a noble knight of sorts to protect the land, or the far-reaching ranger who's I only have a protectorate filled with owlbears because both, I don't think they should be killed, and second of all, I want to protect the community. And if I house them in my own region, that means that everyone else is safer. And you're sitting there scratching your head like, well, wait a minute. Okay, so you're saying if you get a whole population of owlbears, the very wild population that was out there wildly, that it's safer to bring them closer to humanity and put them all together and interbreed them? That makes sense to you? And so people will go, yeah, it makes sense. 87 owlbears? Right across the street, sure. Makes sense to me. Deadman says, Bundacool had one scene in the book where the family dog, Harold, and the cat, Chester, tried to kill Bundacool by driving a stake through its heart. I'm wondering if that stake wouldn't be a real stake. Like, as an immediate stake. Thank you, Harry. I'm not sure why my sound... Again, what's with the sound? I don't hear it on my end, and I rejiggered my sound. Hitting myself with my shield. I rejiggered my sound to check all the connections and everything, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I rebooted and everything. I'll check it out later today. So someone is suggesting, oh man, So Dead Man is suggesting an M577 armored personnel carrier, maybe to protect yourself to drive through those owlbear preserves, right? Oh man, Rickard quote: um, "If I have all the owlbears, no owlbears would be in the forest to attack people. Makes perfect sense." And of course, as someone's gonads get a little jibbly looking at all the owlbears, they're like, "You know what? You're right. Hey, I'm a rich noble. If I give you another 500 gold pieces, um, could I go in and pet some of the owlbears?" And the ranger's like, "Pet them? Heck, you can hug on an owlbear. They're babies. Look at me. They don't do anything to me, right?" So I love the idea of using, especially if you're running a game. Is that the same vehicle? Is that the same vehicle in that piece of art? It sure is. It sure is. If not, yep, because there's a turret on the top of it. That yeah, 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 yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, there, Dead Man. I love that vehicle. As a matter of fact, well, the sorry, segue, little squirrel. Hey, thank you for the cup of coffee there, Harry. I could use one. I really appreciate the super chat. You while not necessary, and you and I know we're both Grognardians. I think you're the only wizard older than myself. One day I'm gonna catch up with you. That is not serious, but I really appreciate it. And of course, the sarcasm of what is placed in the lower thirds uh, is apt in this regard, right? Yeah, good luck and good hunting. I really appreciate that. So again, the the common sense to this, especially like in the alien movies, because I love that artwork and stuff too, and vehicles in that. In the alien movie, of course, there's a character that's like, well, we're going to capture it and bring it back to study it, and you're going, don't you see the dead bodies? Did the chest bursting not scare you enough that we shouldn't be here, right? So how cool would it be, and especially here's another dynamic that we can add into our Monster Monday thing here. Much like player characters are the special people, there's no reason not to make a number of our NPCs the special ones. Meaning, like, yes, there are giant poisonous uh, rattlesnakes and cobras and black mambas and sidewinders and pythons, but maybe this person just happens to be the special one. That they're the beast whisperer, right? Maybe they just happen to have that trait. They're zero level before they're expressing their zero levelness to pop up into first level of whatever it is. A before a cleric becomes a first level cleric, and I'm being funny here, but before a cleric becomes a first level cleric, maybe they show signs of being able to channel magic, or maybe once a day they're able to use a cantrip that's given to them through a divinity or something. Many animals in our own world, we have given them traits that they may or may not have. I'm looking at you, Elephant Ivory. I'm looking at you, the blood and urine and feces and other sexually released fluids of wild animals that people collect because they feel that it gives them great ability. So either them still alive and excreting such a thing, or they're dead and eating such a thing. That would be a commodity of itself, whether it has true power or not. The rich noble that's willing to give up 5,000 gold piece of value, or more land to the ranger that has all these owlbears to be able to hunt and kill one on their property, or to ritually slice one open and eat its heart because they too will have be able to fly and have the eyes of an owl, but the endurance and strength of a bear. How many people would do that until they realize nothing happens? Probably multiple generations before people stop doing that. Even today, people do such a thing. Getting rhino horn and ivory from elephants because it has medicinal properties or something. Yep, And the thing, yep. And like Rickard says, a placebo, placebos have a name because of the psychological power that it gives people in the first place. Otherwise, we wouldn't call it placebos, right? When certain people are given drugs, or not even drugs, when certain people are given access to certain things that they believe, then sometimes that belief becomes a truism. So, but in our fantasy gaming, and when I say fantasy, meaning fantasy science fiction, why not give people that? What happens if a community of people who are scared from the banditry that's out there, they're scared of the goblinoid army, right? And the goblinoid scouts and army keep attacking our people. We need to be stronger and faster and not be afraid anymore. And then the person goes along and says, "Hey, if you drink the blood of the owlbear, you will gain its power." And the people are like, "Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right." And they slay one in front of everyone ritually and give everybody the blood. And of course, they collect the money. You gotta have the hangers on that worked for the ranger that kills this thing and gives everybody. And then all of a sudden, the townspeople are like, "I'm feeling kind of strong. Yeah, where's my pitchfork? Pitchfork. I'm gonna fight these things with a stick." And someone else is like, grandma's like, "I'm gonna fight them with my bare hands. Come on, grandchildren, we'll kill them now." I mean, they might feel like they're roided out now. How truly roided out they are, that's up to you. But maybe, and there we can go even beyond just normal predatory animals. What if there's some animals that are truly otherworldly or extremely dangerous? I'm looking at you, cockatrice, and basilisk, and I'm going to mispronounce the word creature, Ramaraz or Bahir, or any number of those things. I mean, some of those things are pretty damn dangerous. How easy would it be for someone to say, "Hey, that thing spits out lightning bolts from its centipedal body and dragon head. Maybe if I eat its liver, I will be able to fire out lightning or something." I don't know. Whatever. Yep. Dead Man says in Alien it was Bishop that wanted to capture the xenomorph, and then I think in Aliens it was Ash that wanted to capture the xenomorph. Ash and who's the other dude? Comedian dude that wanted to do the same thing. Um, yeah. Dead Man says goes on to say, yeah, placebo, a harmless pill, medicine, or procedure prescribed more for the psychological benefit to the patient than for any physiological effect. And if for okay, um, either ethological or moral conundrum, I can't remember which one. A good kingdom needs to rally the people together who are very much they are non-combatants. They're not evil. They've been protected, but the countryside will be dominated. How easy would it be for someone to go, "We need a placebo"? Oh, I know. Let's get the person we hate, the damn animal wrangler. We'll get them. People always believe if you drink their blood or I don't know, rub against their flesh or wear their fur or something, they will become more combatant ready. Send this person out there to get the people to drink the blood, and maybe we'll be able to bolster our troops, if for no other reason than to temporarily get these people to be, psychologically uh, manipulated into defending the countryside that they feel that they're not strong enough to do so. Right? Yeah. But sorry, yeah, Ash was an alien, Bishop was an aliens. That's it. That's it. Rick was like, Bishop wasn't the corporate guy who wanted to capture them, though. I can't remember who the corporate guy was. Comedian. Anyway, Ash, Bishop. Yep, Call was in Alien Resurrection. I see a pattern here. Yep, ABC. What easy pattern there to pick up, right? Yep. Ash, Bishop, Call. Who's to say? Maybe the player characters might be involved. Okay, if let's handle the crazy ranger that's collecting all these owlbears, right? No matter how crazy it is, it already exists. So you can't really take down the fences because they're just going to run wild, and they're so used to being around humanity. Maybe the first thing they want to eat is a human being, or maybe they don't want to eat human beings at all, but the first thing they'll strike back at is a human being, much like giant cats, right? I've got my own cat, and my own cat will sit next to me, and if my cat, who's only a couple of pounds, doesn't want me petting her, she'll just strike at me and cut my finger, multiply that poundage by 5 times my own body weight, and they get pissed off and just annoyed, will basically break your body. Thank you, Tesla. Burke was the corporate guy, the corporation guy. Yep, Burke. So who's to say that we don't have? We could take all of these tropes, reskin, reflavor them, right, and turn this into something else. Who's to say that the ranger, who truly thinks he's doing something good and is not in it for the money, doesn't have a rich merchant who is working for a corporate entity that just wants to be part of this and says, wants to tell the ranger, like, we can make a lot of money off of this. And the ranger's like, I'm not in it for the money, damn it. Yep, Dead Man says the Beastmaster subclass ranger who loves owlbears. Yeah, why not? Why not have that? And imagine not just one person, but imagine a whole, I don't want to say underground, but like a subclass of people who are into the thing that does the thing. Like, the player characters are like, wow, I'm glad we left that city. That's a crazy ranger that has all those owlbears, but whatever. And you get to the next city and they're like, hey buddy, you want to buy an owlbear? And they're like, what? I've got it in my sack right here. Come on. 10 gold. You're like, what are you doing there, dude? All right. For you, 8 gold. Right? I mean, this could be a subclass of thing. Subclass. A subcategory of individuals. Well, it could be a subclass as well. I suppose if you wanted to really narrow things down for like subclassification, you could do the same thing with, say, clerics and rangers and wizards and sorcerers and everything. Like, you could claim not just by region, for example, saying, okay, well, you're in the Arctic North, you can only pick Arctic North animals to flavor your character with, but you could also separate different classifications of say, classes, right? Like, I'm a barbarian, but my barbarian is an Arctic barbarian, so I have an affinity with, like, riding polar bears and befriending them and that kind of thing. And you go, okay, but if you go into the desert, you have no relationship to the giant scorpions and the, I don't know, trapdoor spiders. I can't think of any other creatures that live in deserts. But you get my point, right? Hey, I have animal handling. I can ride horses, but maybe riding a camel might not be as easy, although I might have a greater skill to do such a thing, but might not be as easy as, say, a classic horseback rider, right? But also, despite the skill, maybe some people are just attuned to such a thing in your world. Maybe people just, it's going with this owlbear. I know owlbears are common. It doesn't have to be owlbears, but maybe people there are just a class of people who just, they're trying to find the people who are owlbear whisperers, and maybe they gain something from it. Maybe they do. Maybe this is the commoner's version of gaining levels in who and what they are. So, sure, the 16-year-old young girl doesn't seem like she'd be a multi-leveled character, but maybe she is, because she has an affinity towards this creature, and maybe they just aren't attacked by the things on the roads. Maybe they're just able to cure them. Man, this thing, I keep hitting it. Sorry about that. Maybe they whisper to them. They heal them. Maybe they're on a mission to stop the hunters out there from killing the owlbears and bring them back. Maybe the owlbears in general in the wild are protecting humanity from something else that's even more dangerous out there. That goblinoid army I was talking about earlier, right? Um, put the owlbears into captivity. The goblinoid army has nothing to fear. Now they end up walking into the population. Now that the ranger's like, I can use the owlbears to protect everyone, but maybe they've beat the feral nature out of the owlbears in general. Um, and of course, I hate to say this, but there's also the idea of people killing the animals in captivity, not just to torture them, but maybe they're just not making money anymore, and they either sell them off or kill them, or hell, they're diseased or something. Hey, let them out in the wild. You put them in the wagon. Travel 2 days out. Let them out there. We don't need them anymore. You know, dire pangolin spits poison, has poisonous claws as well as being poisonous if eaten. Yeah, there's so many. I mean, what a basilisk gaze turns people to stone, but what of that kind of creature? If you cut the head off, well, does it maintain its arcane stone turning ability if it's dead? If it does, is it something that someone would want to hack off its head and use it and put it in a sack and use it to turn their enemies to stone? Maybe there's alchemical concoctions that can be garnered from using its blood, and maybe there's someone else who's like has hooded basilisks. the the local crime lord wants twin basilisks sitting on the side of its throne, with its hooded, headed, covered basilisks, simply for the reason of having them. Because I'm cool, right? Yep, just like falcons. Why do I want a falcon? You hood the falcon before you release it into the wild, not wild, but once unhooded, it becomes ready to engage in its feral nature. Maybe a basilisk. If you hood a basilisk, it it, it goes into like a state of peace. You can lead it along on a chain. It doesn't care. It sits at your feet and curls up, half asleep. you know, um, there are some. I don't know. I think there's something you can do with chickens or something where you turn them upside down, or there's animals where you turn them on their back and you rub their tummy, and they fall asleep nearly instantly or something. Like maybe that happens to a basilisk. Although rubbing the tummy of a basilisk might not be the smartest thing, but hell, displacer beasts. I love displacer beasts. They're the same thing. Someone breeding them. Maybe there's a society where they breed them not just for their feral nature, but their coloring, their size, their their special ability to do a thing. For example, there might be displacer beasts you can ride that are very large versus displacer beasts that are faster versus other displacer beasts which are like which are smaller and made for the lap, where there are other displacer beasts that are perfect for hunting down prey or patrolling the outskirts or something. And then Dead Man says, I thought it was sharks that fell into a trance when you rubbed their tummy. Circling back to the beginning, the first person to do the thing, they're stupid. Number 2 through 80, they're stupider. Right? Twitch says Twitch, Jesus. Harry says Twitch sounds slightly better. I'm uncertain why my audio is good one place and then a little bit better somewhere else and then horrible in another one. I'm guessing because I do TriCast to Twitch, YouTube, and Discord simultaneously. I bet that has something to do with it. Which I haven't had that problem before, but we are currently in a state of homesteading, and lots of people home. Maybe that has something to do with it, with bandwidth. My internet provider might be bandwidthing me down something. I use Stage 10, but essentially it's an OBS style. It's OBS for dummies, and yes, that's probably it as well. So, yeah. But anyway, guys, I want to thank all of you for for helping me go a little bit strange and bizarre with this and have some fun. I know the whole Tiger King thing has been. It's why is this on my feed? Why is everyone talking about this? It's pretty funny. It and the fact that these are real people, believe you me, much stranger than fiction, right? There's no way any reasonable role-playing person out there in their tabletop games who creates these individuals that the players go, yeah, that makes sense. None of this makes sense. So using them as a backdrop or reskinning them or reflavoring them would be really cool. And like we brought up in our, in our little blurbs and stuff, there's a lot of things we can pull from it, right? Like PCs have to go collect the thing. PCs need to free the things. Player characters need to stop the thing from happening. The thing exists in the background of the world, and maybe the thing that's existing in the background of the world, the player characters have access to the thing, right? Maybe one of the player characters has access to an owlbear for their character, as well as maybe the town guard using trained wargs or direwolves, and then on the outskirts of town they have trained griffins that they use as not just predatory animals, but they're using them as trained like using falcons to go after prey and bring it back or something. I mean, you guys know me. I've talked about using pets and mounts and animals before, and this is no different. But of course we have our strange cast and crew. So yeah. Anyway, guys, have a great one. I will see you tomorrow. Guys, see you. Bye. And here's my kitty coming right into the camera, probably. Love you, kitty. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.